Make it happen, bro. We are live. That's amazing. Folks, we'll be right with you. Hey folks, my name is Kurt Von Ahnen. I'm here with Will Middleton, Magic Will Middleton, and we're going to be here for the next hour or so answering all kinds of questions, concerns, and maybe just hanging out for a bit with folks that use LifterLMS or WordPress. And if you've got any comments, questions, anything that you want to bring to our attention today, drop that into the chat. We'll see it here in our StreamYard presentation where we're working. But I also, pardon me, I also have Facebook open. So if you put a comment or a screen share or something like that into the Facebook chat, I'll see that come through as well. Will, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right today. Just going through like a really busy schedule, making sure all this admin stuff is caught up, trying to get projects in order for this next cycle period, getting more more stuff built with Lifter and streamlining processes and all kinds of stuff. Because I'm sure with other companies, with life in general and any kind of project, there's always like some kind of unexpected stuff or some kind of buildup that happens. So I'm trying to streamline things in my life, create less work, make it a little bit easier for me to clean out my downloads folder, keeping things in the desktop, keeping things clean in Drive, and tracking hours, creating projects, managing those projects, sharing it with other people. Just all this kind of communications and operations stuff is what I've been getting deep into lately. But yeah.
You bring up a really good point. And, I work a lot with folks that are agencies. I'm an agency myself. And, dude, I consciously think about these things all the time. So like, I'll think to myself, oh, hey, it might be a nice value add for my clients if I ABC, or it might be what I should do. Like, remember in June, I said, well, I'm going to go live every day in June.
Yeah.
Right. So, I did it. But the thing with when you come up with these ideas is like, is it duplicable? Is it something that is sustainable? Can you keep that going, ad infinitum, and not burn yourself out and still make your clients happy? So when I came up with the thing of, hey, I'm going to go live every day in June, I was really clear about it's June. Like, I'm not going live every day for the rest of my life. I'm going to do live every day for June, and we'll see how that goes. Does it grow business? Does it build engagement? Then you have to look at your KPIs and see what works. Every little thing in a plugin company like LifterLMS, like I'm on the, if we just tell like the people, right, so they understand, like you're like inside LifterLMS and I'm kind of like on the fringe. I'm like on the edge of LifterLMS. I see the team doing things and working and answering support tickets and doing all this crazy cool stuff. And I'm just like, man, there's a lot of work that goes into keeping a plugin alive and going and, quite honestly, fruitful.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. And I think doing these like kind of live streams that we've been doing consistently now for like years is really helpful to the community, and just creating stuff like talking about LMS and talking about what we know about it and sharing it. And on that topic, we have Luke in chat. Hello from the
Welcome, Luke.
Welcome back. Luke was on the call, I think, yesterday. Feel free to drop any questions. Anyone watching live on any channels in the chat, we can talk about some LMS related topics. I'll dive into the Facebook group, and the YouTube comments look clean today, so that should be good. But let me dive over into Facebook in the background here, and we'll find some LMS stuff to talk about. Oh, yep, and I'm from Minnesota again today. Kurt's in Corona, California. Big changes coming, and so you're going to be different part of the country, different time zone. That'll be convenient.
I'm actually looking forward to the different time zone thing, because in almost all of my projects, I'm the time zone that is behind everybody else. Almost all of them, right? So, perfect example, we do that mastermind call for people that have the Infinity bundle, right? And then how many times in the last 4 months has the majority of the call been the Netherlands, Germany, Spain, Italy? And it's like all those people, it's 10:30 at night for them, but it's 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, here in California.
Yeah.
Our scrum calls are at 6 o'clock in the morning for me, and so after I move, it'll be 8 o'clock in the morning. That'll be a whole lot more reasonable.
Yeah, I really enjoyed being over in Europe where the time zone was like 4 p.m. so I could sleep until like noon.
Yeah, it kind of fits your age and your Val Kilmer appearance right there.
Yeah. Let's see. So, just go to Facebook. Um, let's see. Um, yeah, I'm just looking for like technical questions. We don't really have any new technical questions in those two channels. I've got like messages in Facebook, but let me go to the Helps Guide inbox. We could probably find some good stuff to talk about here. Um, let's see.
I did one the other week that was actually really kind of it was almost like a gift, right? So I have a client and they use HubSpot, right? And this has come up for you and I before in conversation where we talk about, hey, so and so, wants to connect their HubSpot to the website, to LifterLMS, to, and then we go, well, there's an API. Pardon me. We have a REST API. We have this. We have that. What's interesting to me, and I've started to ask these questions more and more, and I think we kind of alluded to this on our last call yesterday, but it's like that use case thing is so important because I'm like, well, what are you going to do with the HubSpot integration? Like, what are you looking to physically, like, what are you looking for automation? Are you looking for information? Like, what are you trying to do? And that turns out there's a HubSpot integration for WordPress. You just load that in it and it syncs all the users and they can generate, campaigns out of it and all that stuff, right? Right from the WordPress website. And that's what my client wanted to do. They didn't need all that, high-end customization, all that stuff that I think sometimes we burden ourselves, just because we know how to do something or we know how to figure something out, we make an assumption that we need the highest tech or the highest integration or the highest automation with something, And it was like I just took a moment and I asked a couple of simple questions like, so what's your intended usage? What do you plan to do by connecting HubSpot to your website? Blah blah blah. And then I was like, oh, well, let's just use the HubSpot integration with WordPress and we're done. And it literally syncs with the user's account and it's done. So now we have a website using LifterLMS. They're using the CRM tools as just a CRM through their website. They've got the LifterLMS payment gateway with the membership tools. And they're also selling some digital products through easy digital download integration. And dude, simple, smooth, good design. They came to me with a whole marketing kit. They had a whole marketing style guide that was professionally done.
Yeah.
So I've told you before, I'm not the most graphical person. So everything was provided. Like, here's 4 different examples of our logo. Here's our headshots. Here's our color palette. Here's some of our Instagram and Facebook templates, and have at it. And then boom, next thing you know, website.
Nice. Yeah, once you have all those assets, it's a lot easier. And especially when the style guide doesn't define like as many things about like, I mean, I use button roundness as an example, or like, I don't know, when there's some kind of like general rules of thumb as to what makes a brand with the colors and fonts and stuff like that, it's just a lot easier to apply that instead of trying to like make something that looks good. Like if you have like the style guide, like instead of saying like looks good, you say like we use this color of orange, this font size, whatever. You can create like a cohesive thing. If you have a WordPress website, but also some other website or some custom application, you can make them kind of feel like the same user feel without needing to really do too much customization. I don't know if that makes sense. I like that kind of approach to design more than trying to like draw something in a PDF or in Figma and then recreate it in WordPress. If you're not going to get into the CSS and the actual code, going from a design tool that's very specific into WordPress is more difficult. But we did have a question come in here from Luke. Said, I sent a message attaching screenshots having issues displaying a gravity form in a SkyPilot. Let me see. I attempted to embed the form by editing the page, inserting the gravity form with a block, and using the embed function on the gravity form. the form displays, but not the labels. Let me see. So I'll have to log into my Gravity Form account, see if I can get a download for that. Gravity Forms, log in. See, I'll spin up a little demo site here with SkyPilot and Gravity Forms and see if I can recreate that issue. My account. Got to log into a few places. I'll log into Gravity Forms. Log into LifterLMS.com. Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything you want to cover, Kurt. In the meantime, while I'll do this here in the background, and we'll take a look. Have you ever embedded forms inside of a SkyPilot website?
I want to say yes. I think right in my Mañana No Mas site. So let me take a quick stare there and see what I put in there. Yeah, I think I used WP form in that, or I might have used a groundhog form. I've used groundhog in groundhog with the integration. Let's look at the contact form that I have. Yeah. So this is I have a groundhog form in the contact page of Mañana No Mas. So I use groundhog to kind of launch a funnel when people contact me through the site.
Cool. My download didn't work. Oh, I see. It did work. Cool. I just messed that up. All right. So got my LifterLMS site. So let me go to my account, get the SkyPilot theme, go back to my Sandbox website. I'm going to add the Gravity Forms product real quick. Upload that from my desktop. I started saving things to the desktop folder rather than the downloads folder, just to make it a little more visual with what I'm doing. So we got downloads, SkyPilot.
I have like 99% of anything I work with just on a external hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then I use, if I think it's going to be something quick, I just leave it in the downloads folder. Well, I just came to realize I have like gigs and gigs and gigs of stuff in my download folder. And I'm like, do I actually go through that and filter that and delete stuff? Or do I just right click the whole thing at once and just go, forget it, man. If it's in downloads, I didn't plan on keeping it forever anyway, right?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of the situation I'm in, where I have just way too much stuff. So I have to find a new way to make it tangible and deal with it.
Yeah. The other thing that I've gotten really upside down on, and this all comes down to like what you were talking about earlier with like business and process and being organized, is like I tried to be organized with all these different folders in my bookmarks. And then the other day I opened up my bookmarks, my other bookmarks category, and I was like, holy crud, when did I put all that junk in there?
Right.
All those things. You listen to a podcast and you're like, oh, I'll save that for later. I want to read up on that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's dealing with like my digital hoarding is a big thing. Some kind of organizational process I've got to put together. So I haven't used Gravity Forms in this website, so we'll create a blank form, test, create a blank form, zoom in a little bit. Then what we're going to do, I don't know, paragraph text. So the labels aren't showing up. So this is my field label. That's all I need in my form. Go to forms. So then we'll just go to a page. Add a new page. This is my form test page. We'll do something. Gravity form, select form, select test form, update. There's my label, field label. I don't know if this is maybe, let me go back to this ticket. Is it on like some other kind of page? Contact us. I feel like this has to do with colors of like something, because like mine showed up from just installing the two products.
Yeah.
Form editor, create. Yeah, like so the form editor and form front end looks the same to me, but I think in the screenshot there's like a blue color. I can't see that actual web page, so I don't know if it's like blue on blue or what's the issue with that showing up. But like, this is the Sky Pilot Gravity form seems to be shown for me. If you change the CSS on this or something, maybe like you could do color red or something on these labels, and then add the CSS to your customizer. Maybe I don't know. Like if the the field labels are like blue on blue, that might be what's going on. How would we edit? Like I'm trying to think of like with CSS, how can we apply CSS to this? I mean, you could just. Can I do a CSS class on the form? I don't know. Maybe what we could do is a group. If there's an issue like that, we could do a group, and then can I put styles in the group?
There you go.
I mean, if I do
change the background.
Okay. Oh, this will work. So we didn't even need CSS, right? Because I can do. That's cool. So text color green with this group is going to basically apply to the form. That's interesting. That's nice.
You know what? That might be a 6.3 add-on, because I don't know that I had that option when I was looking earlier on 6.2.
Oh, 6.3 already out?
Yeah, 6.3 was like an automatic update for a lot of people yesterday.
Oh, wow. Oh, I don't have 6.3. That's actually in 6.2. I haven't updated yet.
Okay.
But yeah, that's nice that, like, I guess if I go to my thing, inspect this, is this a class? It basically has success color. It's cool. It almost like applies a something green to this that whole thing. I'd have to look at the architecture of that CSS, but yeah, that might be something to check. My labels don't show up. I'll see what I can look at as colors. Yeah, I would recommend maybe putting it in a group and then doing the if you put your form in a group by itself, you could do a text color thing, because you might have like text color and background color is the same thing, or maybe something like that's going on. Like if you have it like this, then it's like you can't see the green text. But if we change it to something, I assume that's what's going on, but that might be a solution. Something like that. That's nice. I mean, this page looks kind of. I've just been messing around with gravity forms and colors, but it already looks kind of decent. I mean, with the Sky Pilot header and the Sky Pilot footer, it doesn't look half bad. Even though like I'm clicking random colors in the customizer.
Yeah, you need to put a radius on those corners, man, to be crisp.
Oh yeah, that's part of the style guide to do radius, form title, form description, form styles. Yeah, that would have to be CSS. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, there's my green on green. Why is it? Yeah, I guess. Have you done a lot of experimenting with like the block editor or anything like that recently? Like any new projects?
The most experimentation I had to do recently was just updating a menu yesterday, and of course it's in a different place now in the full site editor, right? So, but once I got in there, it was the same old thing, right? Add a sub menu to a menu, and it just works, man. It just works. It's what's interesting is one of my older clients needed some maintenance work done, and so I dove into a maintenance project with her. But it's a Elementor site, and it had been a while since I've jumped into like an Elementor, moving around thing. And I found myself just like instantly being at home again, man. I was just like, click, 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 move this, move that, put this up here, split this, And then I was like, oh, let's convert this to flex boxes. Let's just move this here, move that there, boom, publish, done. And I was like, wow, that was easy. And then I was like, the allure is still there, man. For people that say, that page builders are overrated or that they, I don't know, like they're phasing out or whatever. I don't see it being reality at all yet, right? Because they certainly have their place.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it comes down to pricing. When I just did a podcast where we reviewed a bunch of page builders. And so, we looked at Divi, Elementor, Beaver Builder, and then there was a bunch of other kind of like off-brand names, and I shouldn't say it like that, right? Because they might be watching this and going, "You called us an off-brand name," but there was just all these options for page builders, and some of them, dude, when you look at the prices, it's like, hey, this is $600 a year, and you can have up to 4 or 5 websites, and I'm like, that's not a deal. that's not a deal.
I wanted to see.
Will, you solved the issue. Did you see that note come through?
Oh, nice. I did not.
Yeah. At some point, the text color had gotten set to the same color as the background.
Nice.
You know what we got to do now, Will?
Oh, raise the roof. Nice. I'm still. I'm playing with this form here. If you want to really go nuts.
Like, I'm trying to fix the radius.
I messed it up. How do I?
I messed it up.
Yeah, we'll get this. We'll get it. What is this? Introducing my cool new this thing, and I put this here. This. Hover over div.g input. Okay. Nope. Yep. So CSS is just a lot of trying to figure out how to make this thing work. What would I have to do? So I would have to assign all of these. Okay, I do. Okay, cool. So yeah, look at this. This is my new gravity form. This is why I'm not in the design team. But hello is our contact form. We've got some nice green labels, and then I changed the box to look like that. Isn't that interesting?
It's almost Sky Pilot-ish right there.
Nice.
Make that part of the style guide for Sky Pilot right there. Hey, we can make all your forms look like this. Dotted hashtags.
That wouldn't help the sales. Cool. I guess let me jump over back into the.
I got one for one of my help scouts is coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of getting to the point where I think I'm going to have to ask, for like admin access or something. She's in Sky Pilot, and she's saying that she is not seeing the pricing grid come up on, for unenrolled people, right? So let me see if I could say this. Thank you so much for getting back to me. I love the Sky Pilot theme. Do you have any recommended blah, blah, blah? The options, do you have any clients? Where is it? Because she asked about Grassblade too. So this is one of those things where it gets into, into a multi-thing. Oh, yeah. So I had some troubleshooting issues, and I hope you can assist with when I edit a course, the LifterLMS pricing table is visible. However, when I publish the page and preview it, it disappears. The display setting is set to everyone. And of course, I responded and said, you need to look at it in an incognito window. You need to be logged out. It's dynamic content. And if you're already part of the, if you're already enrolled in it, it's not going to try and sell it to you. So you have to, maybe you could try a user switching plugin, blah, blah, blah. Gave them all that information. But she claims that she still can't see the pricing table. So I'm not sure. And I don't have a website name or anything. Like I have a couple of screenshots, but the screenshots don't tell me the URL or anything like that.
Yeah, you'd have to have admin logins for that, because like the first thing I always confirm is that the block is on the page and there's no display conditions that they're applying to the block in the back end. So I always am like, your pricing table isn't showing up, give me admin logins. I got to make sure you even have the block on the page in the first place. Yeah. And then it usually that login is gonna help us figure out what's going on there, because that one's not too complex. CDNs and caching don't usually cause issues with the pricing table not showing up.
Yeah.
It would cause issues with the pricing table showing up after enrolling and the enrollment not being processed because like the page content still was cached or put in the CDN or whatever. But yeah, that's always like they have some kind of user setup incorrect is like 99% of the time what's going on with that.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell her I need admin access to it. But I was looking. She has Lifter Labs installed, and so I don't know if she has something turned off on that side or whatever, right? So
Yeah, if she's using like Elementor or Divi on the page, and then she checked the box to hide the pricing table, that would do it.
I find that some people get confused with Lifter Labs because you check the box when you don't want something to show up, and some people tick the box thinking it's making it show up, and I'm like, no, you're backwards. It's
Right.
like when the government gets you to vote for something and they say, vote no if you want this to go through.
Yeah, it's like these hooks and filters. When you check these boxes, you're applying different pieces of code to turn on to restrict other code. So it's like you're turning on a filter is what you're doing when you check a box. You're like, yes, I want this filter to apply to remove this item. And so it's like you said, it ends up in this unintuitive experience where yeah, if you don't know what's going on in the back end or the background, like most people wouldn't know, it would make more sense to have those checked by default. Uh, but that would just be like reworking the Lifter Labs a little bit. And, yeah, like an intuitive move. I'll put that on the feature request board because, I mean, I don't know. That's like sometimes we come into these meetings and we're like, what would make the product more intuitive? And it's like a lot of things like that would be like good examples of making like a little bit more intuitive. This would be Lifter Labs Action Manager, default to checks being on, and uncheck if you don't want it. More intuitive. Okay, cool. But sweet. Wonder what else we could dive into here in Help Scout. So this is a good question. I'm exploring LMS plugins for a WordPress site. We're using a staging environment and a production environment. Would that count as one active site or two active sites? That would count as a one active site. So on our license page, on the pricing page, it says you get like a certain amount of live sites and a certain amount of development sites. I think. I don't. Let me go to the pricing page. LifterLMS.com/pricing. Let's see if this loads. There we go. So we're looking at this active sites here. It says 5 active sites in the Universe bundle, 1 for the Earth bundle, and then the add-ons say 1 active site. Oh, loud. The active sites would be 1 site in LifterLMS live mode, which is I just made up the term LifterLMS live mode. Let me show you actually what that means. If I install the LifterLMS plugin, because I don't have that one on this site, there's like a staging mode. I don't know if anyone's seen that little staging icon in orange that's next to the orders area. I'll show you what that looks like once I install the Lifter plugin. I'm going to exit the setup wizard because I don't need to do my pages. We're just going to skip setup. And so here on this orders area, if I zoom in, we see that there's no little staging logo or anything going on. But if I were to go to LifterLMS status, tools and utilities, I can reset automatic payment status. And so when I do reset automatic payment status, it puts this pop-up, puts a pop-up somewhere. Where is it going to put the pop-up? Maybe I have to go back to a regular WordPress page. Should have a pop-up that says, "Are you on a staging website?"
Are you on a staging website?
Payment status. Basically, so the staging mode, the purpose of it is to, maybe that's broken. Maybe I'm using it wrong. But sometimes you'll see an orders button or that says like staging next to your little orders area. And the purpose of that is to stop recurring payments from happening. If you were to clone your website and you have a bunch of recurring payments and you create a staging copy of your website, now you have 2 websites that are going to be processing these recurring bills. So you're going to end up double billing your users. If you have $10 a month and now you have 2 websites with that same data, you're going to end up billing your users $10 a month 2 times. So this staging feature allows you to, when it says staging next to orders, that recurring payments will not process on that website. So you can have one website that's in staging mode and one website that's in live mode using the same license key for each license. So if you have the Universe bundle, you can do 5 staging websites and 5 live non-staging websites. There's not really a live mode. That's what I call LifterLMS live mode. It's just basically staging or not staging. Are recurring payments being processed or are they not being processed? So that's kind of a niche feature of Lifter that most people don't know about, but sometimes you'll see that little orange notification next to orders. And now I'm going to have to set aside like 30 minutes of time at least to figure out if this is a bug or not. So that's great. Like I'm gonna go through here, go onto a local site, go onto a staging site, try to see, because like when you click reset automatic payments, what I remember happening is you get a pop-up at the top that says, hey, are you on a staging website? And then you just say yes or no. This is not it. This is no payment gateways are enabled. That's not what I was looking for. Allows you to disable recurring payments. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna write that
Typically
down.
there's a dialog box that says it appears you are on a staging website.
Yeah. So we're gonna say test reset.
I recently had a client interaction that was a little bit weird with the whole staging and LifterLMS payment gateway thing.
What was that?
And that was, and I believe it was more hosting related than anything that had to do with us. The webhook that they had in Stripe, somehow their production site was billing people the recurring billing, right? But then like a day or two later, the staging site went and rebuild everybody.
Right. So yeah. Did you have a setup like that where you had the cloned?
I came in afterwards, so it's not my hosting, it's not my customer. I was just helping out.
Yeah.
But that they were like, all my customers are getting billed twice. And when I went into the orders of their website, I was like, well, that order matches this, that order matches this. I'm like, dude, so far everything looks good. And then we went into Stripe and I was like, there are a lot of extra charges here. Where are these coming from? And then we were able to determine that the charges were coming from a staging website that had, activated. But they had the staging site for half a year or a year, and they hadn't had that problem until this month.
Strange. Okay, so
that was really weird. So I don't know if Stripe changed something or adopted the webhook that brought it in, as the staging root URL, or what. I really don't know.
Right, but, depending on when the staging site was updated, it could have been like they updated the staging mode on the staging website, turned it off because they were editing the site. And they're like, oh, what's this pop-up? I don't need this. They click the button. And now it's like, that's probably what happened. Because like it doesn't just turn on automatically. It a lot of times we try to like find something really deep in the code or in like a website host when data doesn't just like magically disappear. It's like something has to happen somewhere, and so we just got to track down like what that is. And like sometimes we get into really obscure cases where there's some thing in the web host or like in the WP config file from your like GoDaddy web hosting. They configure something in the WP config file. You might migrate to a different host, but you still have this configuration in your WP config file in the back end of your file manager and whatnot. That's telling the server to do something that's causing an issue, maybe in an Elementor plugin or a Lifter plugin. It's causing like collateral damage. And we can't track back. We like report to the plugin companies, when I do XYZ, it doesn't work. And so like sometimes we end up in really strange issues where we have to go deep and get FTP access and see what this WordPress install looks like. But then even beneath that layer of the file manager, I don't know, Kurt, if you spent a lot of time in the database and the file manager or spent any time there, you've got your file manager, which is where your plugins and your themes and your WordPress installs out. When you update to 6.3, it's going to change the file structure a little bit to match what 6.3 has. And then you have your database, which is usually MySQL or whatever. Usually it's that. And that's where your users are. That's where your lesson progress is. That's where like the pages are located. It's just a bunch of like tables in this database. So you got those two areas, but then even below that, there's like the server of your web host that you usually can't access, like the server logs and what the web servers are actually doing. But some hosts will expose certain statistics in your user panel. If you log into like Cloudways or whatever, you can go to like a reporting area and see your usage and how much data you're storing and stuff like that. Those things are even external of your WordPress database and your WordPress file system. You've got even a deeper layer. So you have to, when you're choosing a web host, you want to choose a web host that shows you, not only supports WordPress and all the dynamic stuff you try to do with the LifterLMS website, but also exposes some of the reporting to you on the their own hosting panel to show you what resources you're using and that kind of thing in a way that's understandable.
Yeah, in a way that's understandable is the key point. Yeah, I've been with other hosts that are like, "You're exceeding our, static web file, bandwidth," and you're like, "Stop, stop, stop! Just tell me what I need to do."
Yeah. Yeah, like I got a notification from a web host I was using about like the number of nodes I was working with, and I was like, I don't know what that is, or that like my, and so then I contacted their support and they explained it, but yeah, there's different levels of users using different products, and sometimes we say like we find a budget web host that might be like DigitalOcean or whatever. You can pay like $3 a month or something, just like dirt cheap, very cheap, but you are getting hosting resources in a server, but you have to go in and configure it yourself and
Yep.
use like shell commands in order to set up your stuff, and that's like really hard to manage. And if something were to go wrong or you want to change something, you have to have like this advanced knowledge in order to be able to change it. And so yeah, that's a really big
When you look at the overwhelming number of websites and people that get started in the internet that are just doing a simple blog site, like they load up a starter site, they start doing a blog, like, this is me having a barbecue with my nieces and nephews, right? Like, boom, boom, boom. Like, I think a lot of these hosting companies are like really banking on, man, if we just get 90% of these people that do nothing on the internet, we're going to make some money, And then someone comes along that's like, okay, I've got 33 websites and I've got, all these, dynamic platforms that I'm plugging in and plugging out and all these things. The hosting company is like, whoa, 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 slow down, bucko. We're still trying to make money on you, and you're making it very difficult.
yeah. Have you worked with any local tools for building projects, like where you're hosting the website actually on your local machine?
I do that with I do that when I want to learn stuff. Like when I first wanted to learn Gutenberg and the block editor and really experiment with stuff. I installed local from, I think it's WP Engine, right? So I installed local, and then it connects to, is it Flywheel? I can't remember what it connects to now.
Local by Flywheel was a big one that they released. Like it's a
Yeah,
nice user interface and everything.
it works great because you just say, spool up a site, boom, load up a template, load up a theme, put in your plugins, and it just lets you kind of play and mess around with stuff. And it works pretty quickly. Like when you change stuff in your screen, it changes pretty quickly, right? So you're just like, okay, cool. So I can float around here and quickly try a couple of things out and see if I like it, don't like it. What does it look like? How does it work? And then get some confidence with it before you start plugging it into people's live websites.
Yeah, yeah, and
But that being said, I think you and I are on the same page as far as like having low risk aversion. Like, I don't mind working on a live website. It doesn't really bug me much. There's not too much I'm going to destroy that I can't fix pretty quickly.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's always it was scary to me for like the first few years of doing client work, where you get like the white screen of death or whatever, where it's just like a fatal error and says we've sent you an email with like how you're gonna can fix this.
That's this. It's you're typing along. You're looking at your keyboard. You're like, and then you go like this. What the hell just happened to my website? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. I've got a project now where I used, like our best practice advice when you and I are talking to people. Say, well, as a best practice, you might want to spool up, a staging site, right? And so we'll tell people to do that. I'm in a situation like that with a group now. They are all over the place. They're like, we want to use Go High Level. We were in Zoho. We are thinking about using Go High Level as our membership management, but we still want to use the LifterLMS courses and lessons. When maybe we'll use the LifterLMS, membership. Maybe we'll use social learning. Maybe we'll plug in Circle. Maybe it's like all these maybes, right? And I'm like, you know what? You got to spool up a staging site, and you just got to start plugging things in, and you got to experiment and figure out as a group, because it's decision by committee time, right? And decision by committee never goes well. I've done it and I'll do it, but I've learned whenever it comes down to like decision by committee and I'm doing it as an agency and not a favor, I always factor in more time and money, because it's just everyone's got their own ideas, and they start coming in with, well, what if we connect this, and what if we connect that, and what if we do this, and what's the API for that, and what's the webhook over here, and I'm like, oh my goodness, all this stuff just comes out of the box with Lifter and some add-ons. We could just make this happen.
Right. It's like you got to ask questions about like the business needs, and like Adam posted in chat, local by Flywheel, and now WP Engine has WPE. Oh yeah,
InstaWP. I've been hearing great things about InstaWP. I need to try that.
Oh yeah, that's
I haven't used it yet.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I was in a WordPress meetup group. It was a virtual one, so I was really drinking Jack Daniels and 7-Up. But I was in a one of these virtual WordPress meetups, and they were just singing the praises of InstaWP and how quickly they were able to spin things up and try things and use things, and then move to production. They were like, oh, it's a really great tool for being able to develop the whole thing and then move to production pretty easily. So I'm like, well, I want to try that. I'm gonna mess with it and see what I come up with. But that's the problem with doing what we do, Will. All these things come up and you're like, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try it. Well, if you spent your whole day trying everything you wanted to try, you'd never make any money.
Yeah.
I love that Adam Silver is on with us today. He reached out to me last week. He was like in my neighborhood, and I thought maybe he would jog by, but obviously he wasn't training for an ultra, because I didn't see him run down my street. He says money's overrated. I'm going to have to agree with him on that. If people were to ask me right now if I would go back to Suzuki for the same money they were paying me when I left the company, the answer would be no. No.
I'm trying to think of like with creating Lifter sites and getting in the weeds on like integrations, like you mentioned, like maybe we'll integrate just a bunch of different tools. We like the Lifter lessons, but want to use a different membership solution and all kinds of things like that. I wonder, like, I think at that point, we're not really thinking about the question of what the business needs and what we're trying to provide, and focusing on the content rather than trying to like almost go down a rabbit hole of like creating some kind of user experience. But usually the user experience is smoother when you use products out of the box than it is when you customize them extremely. Like if you were to invest a ton of time and effort into building like a custom Gravity form, custom Elementor, pop-up setup, like it's possible to create a smooth user experience, but you're almost creating something from scratch. So it's going to be a lot more effort, and it's going to be harder to change. And so that's why I'm starting to prefer just using tools out of the box more than trying to make my Elementor menu fly out of the side of the screen or something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to be like diplomatic in how I say this, but these conversations that I end up having with people that are like, well, I want all of my sites to use SureMember. I want all of my sites to use, WooCommerce. I want all of my sites to be on ThriveCart. It's like, well, what's the motivation for that, right? Like, I have a certain tech stack that I like. You have a certain tech stack that you like. We're actually a little bit different on a couple of things, but I think our motivation is consistent, right? Like, so this is my tech stack and this is why, right? And then it's interesting to me when I talk to a client and they're like, well, I want to use, and I said SureCart as an example, right? But there's like SureCart and SureMember. And so people are like, that's what I want to use. And it's like, well, where's that coming from? Like what's the main motivation for that? And is there a consistency in it?
Yeah, that makes sense. I clicked this editor here in 6.3. I just clicked appearance editor, and it looks totally different. I mean, it's not totally different, but it's like
it looks totally different.
It's like these items on the left look totally different. The stuff on the right looks the same, but on the left we got navigation styles, pages, templates, patterns. We used to have templates and template parts, and now it's different. It's cool. I mean, it's good that we're evolving pretty quickly, but it's like I feel like in another 3 months this is going to be very different as well. Yeah.
Well, that's the part that is hard, right? So like as somebody that develops products for WordPress, it's almost like, why am I working so hard to make this like the perfect thing now? Because I know it's going to change in 3 months anyway.
Right. And then there's like, this is the header pattern, and here's your navigation. Like,
Yeah.
why is the navigation showing in the header? In my footer, let me check out my footer options. Minimal footer, I've got the maximal footer. This one has a navigation on it. So I guess if the navigation item is present, it's going to do that. But then you have this little lock icon on your header that indicates that I solved this in a tutorial as to how you can edit this, but I don't even remember what I had done there. So, this is the headers folder, I see. And then this is the header I have in the folder. Okay.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, it's almost like learning something from scratch. Like I know this thing, and I know like how to do stuff with blogs, how to create things in groups and patterns and stuff like that. And now it's just renamed, and I got to relearn this thing again. But only like 30 minutes.
It's almost worse because you have a pre-existing knowledge of a former system, so your brain is competing with with a known quantity. It's almost easier to learn it from scratch than to try and overwrite pre-existing knowledge. Go into edit a page. Did you see the new preview screen?
Oh, like edit a regular page in WordPress?
Yeah. They've got a new preview button.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so now it's right there, and it's just click, and it's boom right there. So yeah, that's the old preview model, and then they have the preview new page is just one click now.
Oh, this is going to be the view page.
Yeah,
I
like that. I'm going to use that quite a bit because it's still frustrating to me that when you build in the block editor, it's not a what you see is what you get scenario. It is a very much this is kind of where I'm going, and then you got to open up another tab and go, yep, that's where I got.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. So like they removed the word preview from the top over there.
Yeah,
I'm sure
and replaced it with 2 different buttons.
Right, they're 2 images, and so it's like, I guess it. I wonder if that's more of an intuitive thing. It would make it maybe more accessible to use icons. Like the whole invention of icons was to like do something.
International.
Oh, what'd you say?
I was trying to be fancy and say international, but like from Europe, international.
Oh yeah, it was. But it was like an accessibility thing. I can't remember why it was. It might have been internationalization, but I thought it was for people who like can't read or are dyslexic or something like that. Like it's like you could look at an icon and get the meaning of something. Like how instead of settings, there's like a little gear icon where we're now used to seeing a gear icon regarding settings. But then, like, 50 years ago, humans wouldn't really look at a gear icon and think about settings. But now, since we've had like TVs that try to introduce this concept, and we work it into WordPress, and like now we associate a gear icon with settings.
Did you see the comment Adam put in there? He said you could just use Classic Press.
You could.
You could go back to Dreamweaver too.
I want to see. So this is SVG. Okay. Interesting.
Folks, I'm just going to give you a quick shout out. We've got a banner up right now that says save 15% with a coupon code LifterLMS live. But I'm going to pull up something that's interesting. School's back, right? And so if we think about our back to school season, we've got a back to school sale right now, which is actually better than that. Is it okay to mention that, Will?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to share this screen. If you look right here, celebrate back to school, 50% off any new order. So if you're new to Lifter LMS, and this is the perfect call because this is our pre-sales call. So we're assuming a lot of people that come here are kind of just feeling it out or thinking what direction they want to go in. Now is the time between August 9th and August 15th you can get 50% off by using the code LIFTER50. LIFTER50. And I got to turn that off. That's really distracting. I'm going to go back to a multi-screen setup when I move back to Kansas there, Will. So I won't have that infinity screen all the time anymore.
Oh yeah, I always have like 2 windows on my desktop, so when I share this, it's just going to be this window, and then I've got my StreamYard window.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm on a laptop right now, so it's like everything's just in this one little screen, and it's really embarrassing because I'm old. And you know what old people have to do?
Oh yeah, I get the reading glasses.
Yeah. I've had to do that with customers lately, and I'm like, I can't believe this. I got to put my glasses on. But what else is there to discuss, man? You got a 50% off coupon for like the next week, right? So Lifter50 gets you 50% off. Obviously, if you want to go past that deadline and still save 15%, you can use LifterLMS Live as a coupon code. If you are an agency and you're on this call for some strange reason, maybe just like me and Will, if you want to join the agency listing so that I can reach out to you with other live events or offers for demo sites and things like that, you can sign up at lifterlms.com/agency. And if you would like to try LifterLMS, just go to lifterlms.com/try. And this is the one that's the 30-day $1 demo, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So for 30 days, you get a pre-populated hosted example of LifterLMS, and it's full of content. You don't have to build anything. You just get a fully populated, ready-to-go website, and now you can float around in the back end. It's got sample user content and all that stuff, so you can see if it matches your needs or not. The trial site for me is a really good referral for people that are like corporate clients that are looking at doing like internal training and stuff like that, because it gives them an idea of what their employees or their organization is going to experience, because it's pre-populated with different users in it. So you can see, okay, so this is what people experience. This is the user interface. This is how it's set up. This is what courses look like, lessons look like. This is how this works. And then, of course, if you want to sell courses, it kind of gives you that view of like, what's it look like to have an access plan or multiple access plans for a single product with options to purchase and things like that. So it's a pretty good deal.
Nice. And then also, we have our 3 years for the price of 2 on Infinity and Universe. If you look up 3-year Universe bundle, LifterLMS, 3-year Infinity bundle, LifterLMS, I don't think that coupon's restricted, so I think you could use it on those products. I haven't checked into what that 50% off code applies to, but I think it applies to any new purchase. So you could pick up over 3 years for the price of 2, so at like 33% off, plus you get like 50% off the 33. So it's like 3 years of the Universe bundle is like, $1,000,
$1.47.
Yeah. So it would be like $1.47. It's $1,200 a year, so that'd be $360. But then it's 3 years for the price of 2, so it's $240, and then you get 50% off that. Jeez, that'd be 3 years for the price of 1. I don't know if I don't think that coupon Chris created is restricted, but 3 years for the price of 1 is pretty good. So check
crazy.
Out those 3-year bundles, because I think the coupon would apply to those too. So yeah.
No, sales are a good way to move things. This is one of those, if you did what we did instead of do what we say, right? Have you heard that expression before? So it's like, if you're in the market of selling courses and selling digital products, watch these calls and see what me and Will are doing, right? So we're holding live sessions, we're doing office hours, we're building relationships with hopefully our public and people that want to join our community with LifterLMS. And then, we're using sales to really pimp our digital product and get people excited about wanting to join. And so if you're someone that's looking to market or sell digital products, you're seeing the blueprint at work, right? So the blueprint is get a minimal viable product up, get something up that you can market, reach out to people, do lives, do emails, use your list, use whatever you have to communicate and build relationship with people, and then play with your pricing and play with different offers and see what gets generated. Remember, in the digital world, the work's already done if you made the content. Like, you did the hard stuff. If you made the content, the work's done. So now it becomes a crazy little journey of how do you generate revenue off of that.
Yeah.
And Will has a course in LifterLMS about just that, right? Is it growing to the first 10 or the first 25 users? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, the first 10 enrollments on academy.lifterlms.com. It's the Enroll Summit. You can find it down there. It's a free enrollment.
Yeah.
Check that out. That was a pretty good course for getting those first 10 users on your website, getting activated, some good advice from community members who are super successful, like serial entrepreneur people, giving some good advice. So Lifter LMS Academy, if you Google that, you'll find that course on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just think it's there's people all over the internet, leaning on Lamborghinis in parking lots and going, "Do you want to make $1 million like me? Do you like my car?" And it's and it's hard to believe that stuff. But I think when we come out of the shoot and we say, "Here's our product," and then here's a really sound training piece on how to get to your first 10 paid users, it's like that's a whole lot more real world. And I think that makes things, like more solid. Like you can go, oh, like I can go from 0 to 10, I would think pretty easily, right? And then 10 to 20, and then 20 to 50, and then 50 to 100, then 100 to 1,000. And you start thinking in those terms, and each of those milestones and each of those jumps gets actually easier and easier.
Yeah, and I think like we have a 5-day 6-figure course challenge that Chris created, and it's like this really flashy 6 figures, 5 days, like let's make something, let's get rich. And it's like there's different business challenges you'll face at different phases of the process. Like the first phase is to establish the demand. Is anyone even interested in taking this content? So that's your 0 to 10, where you're creating your YouTube channel, you're going on Reddit and answering questions, or you're going on Facebook, you're finding your community and seeing if you creating a resource externally is going to be interesting to people to jump into your website and take your content. And then once you've established that, then you got your first 10 paying customers. You've established, you say, can we take this a little further? Like what other things do these people need? What other kind of offerings could we put on here to, ramp it up a little bit? Do we add, like, we've got an online course and a YouTube channel. Can these two kind of feed each other? Can I put affiliate links in here and stuff like that? And then you get up to about 100, 200 students. And then you say, okay, there's some serious demand here. How can we really create a customer avatar? And how can we, because like we talk about creating a customer avatar. If you don't have any students, what kind of customer avatar are you trying to create? So once you have that 200 people, you're like, okay, what's common amongst these people, and how can we create even more levers and install more analytics and get them? We're doing our free lead magnets at this point. We're doing we start to really build a business on top of that. But there's like different challenges at different phases. I think it's important to kind of understand the different challenges and address them.
And with that, Will, it is the top of the hour. We should say goodbye and play Clean Streaks.